What's going on? My name is Tyson McGuffin. Welcome to the McGuffin Show. It is cold here in Coeur d'Alene. It's dumping snow right now. School is closed, at least for Sky. Banks went to school this morning. I would assume
preemptive school closing.
I would assume they just don't want high school kids driving to school. But woke up nice and early this morning. Got a nice little session in. I got some boys in town right now. Yame is going to be living with me, sleeping in my bed for the next couple months, if you know what I mean. Keeping it PG rated. Clothes are always on. And then there's a gentleman named Marcel that actually played first round in singles. Guy's a total stud, tall drink of water. He's like 6'4", uses an 002 and uses that thing like a bazooka. He's from Hawaii. Him and Yame are good buddies. And then K-Mac, our good buddy Clayton, who we met in Los Barilles, who is a total stud. No racket sport background. Been playing for 2 years.
Just turned 17.
Just turned 17. We're going to have a little birthday. Little does he know, even though he's probably listening right now. Little does he know, we're going to have a little birthday shindig for him tonight. Keeping it PG rated, of course. Mom and Dad. But Clayton
send their kid with Tyson, and who knows what happens, right?
Clayton's from Bend, Oregon. He's got a lot of good game, and we spent some time training together there in Los Barilles. We got up nice and early, crack of dawn. Had all the pros out there
5
bright and
a.m.
early.
start.
No, it was 7 a.m. start.
Oh, 7 a.m. start.
Yeah. That was the start that my wife and I got rolling, if you know what I mean. Hey, 5 a.m. Get that bedroom cardio going, hit the plunge, get my protein going.
Have a routine. Right?
Have a routine in life, right? Get stuff going early.
New year, new you. New year, new you.
That's where I get my cardio from. It is, okay? Endless gas tank from the bedroom.
Right. Good New Year's resolution right there.
Shoot, get her done early.
All right, let's move on.
And I kid you not, when we are, when we cuddle in the morning and keep it PG rated, I'm just a nicer guy throughout the day. I really am. I'm a lot more loving, a lot more affectionate. I
more
listen.
Connected,
I listen much better.
Yeah,
anyhow, off of that topic, for gosh sakes, K-Mac, what are you doing?
Oh man, I am just hanging out, dude. We actually had a snowstorm here too. Like we never get snow, or maybe a slight downpour once a year, but pretty cooped up. I have been hanging with the kids over the last few days. I found Fortnite, so I feel like I've got the passion of it, of a 12-year-old, but the skills of like a 5-year-old, because my kids are way better than me. But it's actually been a blast. Like we can play together, and like Callie and the kids have been playing like trios and duos and all this. So yeah, it's been a good time.
Awesome. And K-Mac, you guys were in Los Barilles for like a month. Did you guys buy a place? Did you guys buy a place?
It felt like it, man. No, we
get in with the locals.
Lose your passports. We've thought about it.
Yeah, pretty much. We would have loved to. No, Callie is sold. She already wants to like find a way for us to live half the year there, or however many months, but just do it gradually. Find a piece of land, gradually build on it. But the lifestyle there, it's just it's unique and special. And we were there a couple of weeks, and they had to drag us out of there coming back home. So
right.
It was
get to that San Jose airport.
But for anyone thinking of moving there, it's really unsafe, right, Kyle? It's super unsafe. Right. It's really expensive.
Place sucks.
Nothing but cartel everywhere.
Yeah,
you
don't want to go.
Stay alive.
Right.
No, speaking of that, just going back there and seeing how much it's been built up since we started going down there. And you hate to be that way, but like some of its charm, right, is like the dirt roads and it not being super commercialized and, all of the special things. But hoping that obviously there's still plenty land around there, and I hope it keeps its charm through all of it. But it's
and it seems like trying to build down there right now with all the new developments and stuff, it seems like it's a couple years out or a year and a half out.
Yeah, for sure. Building prices are going up, and the peso
Right.
is worth more now, so our dollar doesn't go quite as far down there. And so there's been some slowdowns, we'll say, for all of the development, which I don't mind.
Right. Which isn't a terrible thing if you want to keep it authentic, right?
Right.
Much so.
Right.
What? So 500 pesos is how much US?
About $30 approximately.
I never tried in school, so anytime I'm
well,
down,
I've always used like for 100
questions.
pesos is about
Especially math.
100 pesos is about $6, but I think it's actually like $5.90 or something. But it changes. And then it's funny too, because depending on the ATM or the restaurant or whatever, they might not give you that. Maybe they'll give you 17, maybe they'll give you 15. So it just for the exchange. So it's kind of it's a toss up. You got to that's the one thing down there. It's really mostly cash. I mean, how many of us ran into that ordeal?
You
gotta
need
have
pesos.
cash. You do.
Hey, I got my guy Colton right here. Prime story. Okay, the guy's looking for a bank. Doesn't speak Spanish.
El Banco.
And the guy he can't find a bank. He's walking around
uses his app,
asking
right?
the locals.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, do you know where I can get pesos? They're like, no English. So finally he gets his translator app out and turns his phone around and ends up finding the banco.
Yeah.
Right?
Found his way.
Find that banco.
He got to the ATM. We did also, he went through the exercise of that the ATMs do run out of cash. So you have to get there when it's fresh and filled. So you got to look for the guards. Once you see the guards come, you got to get there before everybody else does.
Right.
So
Game over.
Jeez.
Yeah,
Don't be taking my pesos.
it's a process.
It's a whole deal.
So we ended up flying in, kind of a travel tip if you're going to Cabo or not Los Barilles, because you should never go there. Place is terrible.
Yep,
If you fly in late to San Jose Airport, we always fly in like around noon or morning time or whatever.
Always morning.
And that sucker is packed, and to get through security and all that takes forever. We ended up flying in. What was that? To Wednesday.
5 p.m. Oh,
Wednesday, 5 p.m. There was nobody there. It was great. Just as long as you go through and you can hit green. Green is bueno.
Yeah.
Last thing you want to do is hit red. 'Cause if you hit red, you're going to be put in a room and they're going to put the gloves on.
No, you do not. No. If you hit red, then they're going to scan your bags, and it just takes a lot longer if that's the case. But put all your family on one and get through there. And then the only
Hey, Mac, did you guys do
downside-
that? Sorry,
no,
Mama.
good,
Did you guys
good.
do that? Did you guys put all your family on one? What's that little
for your
sheet?
customs slip. When you guys went through
Because
with the
I made it
baggage.
easy. We hit the button once. We got green for the whole family.
He always
in
gets
and out.
green.
I haven't got red yet, so I don't know how bad that process is.
I've gotten red once. I know my mom's
Okay.
gotten red more than that, but essentially you put your bags through a separate scanner and then they'll put it through, and then depending on if you have goods that they feel like you're importing or extra camera, for camera bags and stuff like that, you pay duty. I think our photographer for our wedding, he ended up having to pay $400 in duty for
In the
extra-
taxes, yeah.
Oh, but the only downside of getting in that late though is it gets dark.
Oh,
and
yeah.
if you're not familiar with driving,
Hey, Mac, you
in
know that road from
Mexico,
San Jose up to Los Barilles.
There
You
are-
got
Luckily, I
straight
know it now because it was dark this time that I came.
Yeah, you got
No
straight
street
cows.
lights,
You got
yeah. straight people, horses, Mustang.
Right.
Name it.
anything
it's
you
on
can
the road.
imagine is on that road. So drive a little slower, and the road is very narrow.
Yes.
And most of the
yes.
locals drive like maniacs.
Yeah. And pay attention, because if someone's coming at you and they have their hazards on, that means there's probably some cows or something up ahead that you need to be on the watch out for.
Cows
So you
gonna
need to
ruin your
slow
day.
down.
I'll tell you what.
Yeah. Slow down.
Yeah, I didn't
And-
realize that. So on the way in, we got in the evening, and people kept flashing me over and over again. And I'm in a rental,
Oh, no.
and I'm in a big Suburban, which I feel like I'm already taking up too much of the road. But I'm like, I don't think my brights are on. What's going on? But yeah, it was just they were letting me know that there were cows.
Yeah,
there were
were
cows
just
down there. Slow it
vacas
down.
everywhere.
Vacas, so they're called.
Vaca, yeah.
Vaca.
Topes are the speed bumps, and Bacas are the cows. But the cows were extra fat this time because it's super green down there with
It
all
is.
the rain. And
Cows are
stuff,
eating
so
good,
They're eating well. Yeah.
They are.
And then the
Living well.
the funny part about the goats is the goats herd themselves, or they have a dog that herds them, but there's never a person. And so
Oh.
when the goats start crossing, you
Yeah,
gotta
how-
just
How all that.
and the owners put bells on the goats so then you can at least hear them. But that's like a full herd. They will cross the street and you just have to wait. And it's really important to know that every cow belongs to someone and goat. And so if you hit a goat or a cow, you are going to have to pay that farmer for their loss.
Well, let's talk about how
So-
loyal the community is down there. If somebody steals or if somebody kills somebody's
Right.
animal,
Yeah.
everybody knows, right?
No, for sure, for sure. I mean, they live on a lot of trust and honesty,
Handshakes and-
yeah, and if that stuff's not tolerated to the healthy degree of neighborhood watch style.
Well, that's what I heard from your mom, Meg. Is she made it sound like almost like the social justice, if somebody does something like that, is more than even what the police do at times, just with the culture there. So
For sure.
it definitely makes you feel a little safer, going down to that part.
Yeah, no, absolutely. They don't tolerate it. And whether it's from, locals especially, or if it's from people coming in there, like
Somebody comes
it's not
up.
welcome there.
If you
so.
steal, somebody comes up from Cabo and handles it, if you know what I mean.
I don't know.
Oh,
They're taking a
baloney.
hand.
I don't know about
Baloney.
that,
We
but-
know.
but-
We know. You don't
But
play.
yeah, no, I mean it's good. It's nice. I think. That goes however far here in the U.S., but down there, I think
Right.
it's nice to see that still kind of exists a little bit. But anyways,
Okay, so Viva La Mexico. We ran 2 camps back to back, 2 sold out camps at Tres Palapas. Big shout out to Tres Palapas. That place is lovely. And big shout out to Paul and Sally. I've known Paul and Sally for 5 years now. We've gone to their house in Maple Bay. This is when Meg and I were first starting to, hang out and kind of feel things out and see if, hey, is this gonna work? And look at us now, bright and shiny, and it works. Anyhow, so Tres Palapas, 10 courts. They got a restaurant there. Alex, total stud,
Yep.
used to run Lazy Days. Alex now runs the restaurant. You can get coffee in the morning. Paul and Sally turned, where they sold their home there in Los Barilles and actually moved into Tres Palapas. Not Paul. Who's Joe? Joe's from Bend. Joe's their head pro. Joe lives on site. Paul and Sally now have like this cool little condo that they built up top that used to be a restaurant or like a bar up there.
Yeah.
And then also too, for people that want to go to Los Barilles and hang out at Tres Palapas, now they have some lodging there on site. They have 3 condos.
3 or 4.
Some of our campers were staying in those
They're
condos.
little 1-bedroom condos with laundry and kitchen and all.
Yep,
of the
super
above.
nice.
So little pool and hot tub.
Pool and hot tub in the
and
back.
Heated pool. Another little fun fact: most pools in LV are not heated.
Yep.
But that one is.
K-Mac, was your pool heated?
It was not, but we were lucky enough. We had a hot tub right next to it, so we could get warm in the hot tub and then jump in the regular pool. So the kids were bouncing back and forth the whole time we were there.
I swear kids too can tolerate cold. I don't know. At least like Mackie.
Mac can. Mac can't feel a thing.
But it sounded like Kyle when I was talking to your kiddos. It seemed like they were like, "Oh yeah, we were in the pool all day." Like it seems like I don't know if kids really want to be in water. I feel like.
No, I've become a total pansy as an adult. Like I only got in the actual pool sparingly on a decent day. You're right. Like as kids, they're just having so much fun. They're not worried about being a little bit cold.
Right.
I don't know what point I grew out of it, but I'm a total pansy.
I think it's like growing up going to the river all the time. Like the river's freezing more.
Yeah,
most of
no,
the
it's
time,
brutal.
Right? And even the lake can be cold, but yeah, no, we're all spoiled with pools. And
the river at Sham, I mean, that sucks. I mean, obviously, it's hot as could be there. There's plenty going on. So, like, the river's
like a cold
very
plunge.
Refreshing, but it is ice cold. Yes, very much so. 2 camps back to back. Probably had 30% repeat campers. Had some people that came down last year. That also made it this year. We had a big crew from Vancouver. Irene Ma, what's up, girl? Irene brought her chicas down with her. All those ladies.
Those girls could play too. Those are some high level ladies.
4045, and honestly, K-Mac, we talked about this.
Whole camp.
That first camp was probably one of our most high level camps. I mean, courts 1 through 9 were 4045. Courts 10 through 12 were like 3-5 and above. So I'm not degrading or throwing shade at lower level campers, but we usually just get a wider range of levels. We will gladly accept the 3-0s all day long. I thought great experience. The first camp was 3 days. We did a camper dinner on day 3. Day 2 we did like a little quad activity. We couldn't go up to the waterfalls because of quicksand, which is very scary.
Yes.
But we ended up taking a different trip, went to the water. Campers loved it. Took a little group photo.
To Snorkel Beach, or I guess, Snorkel Beach.
Snorkel Beach.
It's so pretty there, right? I mean, it was too cold.
It was gorgeous.
I mean, Mackie still got in the water, but it's a little cold
Throw
to
his
get in
ass
the water
in.
right now. But the kids did. Yeah, I think you guys ran in real quick.
Actually, it was crazy.
Time.
Yeah, like
it was
the water was warmer
than the air.
The air, and the water was warmer than our pool. Yeah,
it's true.
Mark was the first guy to take his clothes off, right?
Yeah, I mean,
it
didn't
was
take
like
Mark long, right?
It's like he was planning this for months.
I love it too because I think we brought like 4 towels with us, and I don't think anybody brought towels, but everybody rushed in. But it all worked out.
Yeah, we brought towels, we brought cervezas.
Just the necessities,
Right, good time. And big shout out to our camp administrator, Emily Taylor. Love that gal. She's been with us for like 3 years now. She brought her family down. She's coming down to Los Barilles the last couple years and does a lot of great things for us. So
She's
can't
family.
thank her
She
enough.
Does, yeah, she does
She's family.
everything
Just,
for-
everybody needs an Emily you can stuff in your back pocket. She's one of those.
Well, she's fluent in Spanish too, so she's perfect out
I
there.
know.
She is.
Oh,
I mean,
She's organized the whole big group. Just put it on her. She's great.
What could she not do?
totally.
That's pretty crazy.
K-Mac, anything crazy happened that first camp? I'm trying to remember. I think it was smooth sailing, but yeah, 3 days.
Yeah. I mean, I
40
think
campers.
a much more subdued, camper dinner or party. But yeah. We didn't get as crazy, right? We all danced for a few minutes with the kids, and then that was it.
Yeah, it was short and sweet.
Yeah.
Why is because we're
He's
just
had a
grown
camp.
men now,
Yeah.
and we're trying to be better humans.
You know.
And also, we had a 6-hour camp that very next day. So
And
the
it was
fir-
a little windy and cold, so it was a little.
That's true. It was
just
chill.
Yeah, it was just a little bit different atmosphere about.
Yeah.
But yeah.
last year, 3 a.m. DJ spinning. I was playing a bunch of hood rap music. There was a lot of 60-year-olds that took off around midnight because they could care less
60.
about
Let's clear that up. It's not 6, 60.
60.
Okay,
60, yeah.
sorry.
Yeah,
there's
there's a lot
Not
of
6
there was a lot of 60-year-olds last year that could care less about 21 Savage,
Right.
the rapper, as he was rapping away at midnight. Anyhow, last year was crazy. A lot of drinking, a lot of chaos. This year, it was very subdued. That's a good way to put it.
Kind of a fun addition, I thought this year was Mateo, a friend of ours who we've known since he was
Keep it authentic,
4 years old when I first met him. He's really great friends with Sky. Doesn't speak very much English. His mom Isabel is just so sweet.
Angel.
And she speaks really good English. Her English is really great. But she said Mateo's band is willing to come play, and so that was really cool. He came with his little band, and they're trying to grow their get in front of more eyes, and I
Right.
thought they did a good job.
And anytime I have heard a Mexican band play, for God's sakes, the audio is so loud. I mean, they get after it. Second camp, 2 days. I had to take off early on that Tuesday to go to Palm Springs. K-Mac led the show. We all know he does it better than me anyhow, so everybody was more than happy to get me the hell out of there. Get this guy out of here. We've had enough of him, okay?
Take your photo and leave.
Yeah, right. Let's see here. And then Tuesday night, flew to Palm Springs. Max, in first class, throwing water bottles, throwing paddles, beating
Nice.
on people.
He's just getting way too comfortable in that first class lifestyle. Right?
I told my wife.
Mac is
she
gonna
told
take
me.
off a month of travel.
Right.
He was in rare form, we'll say that. And we
Okay.
got
He's just a squirrel.
but he's just into everything. He has a lot to say.
He's
I
all
mean,
boy.
he wanted his puppy dog on a flight, and he's got this little stuffed puppy. I'm like, okay. And I've already hidden the water bottles, so he can't chuck those. So now he's got the puppy, and he's looks at me, and he always holds it up here like this, and makes eye contact, like he's about to chuck it.
The
And I'm
guy's
like,
got
no,
a
no, no.
cannon too.
So then I take it away, and then he's yelling in first class, "Where's my puppy? I want my puppy!" And I already have to ask this lady to please switch me seats, just so he doesn't have to sit next to anybody. I want him secluded, right? Just me and him.
Right.
And that's the safest.
No, he's not
And
safe
so
sitting
at the
by
end,
anybody.
I thank this lady again for moving, and she's like, "Oh, no problem." And she laughs, and she's like, "Did he find his puppy?" I'm like, "Oh no!" And
The whole flight was
time-
worried.
Oh,
Where's this kid's puppy?
And he does this little screech thing. He thinks it's funny, and he
Yeah.
screams really loud. And usually we don't fly with our kids at night, but this was at night, so of course people are probably trying to sleep. And so he's doing this screech, so I kind of put my finger close to his mouth.
No, she's
trying
choking
to
him out.
trying to make him not scream. And so as I'm putting my finger by his mouth, he bites my finger. I mean, it was literally one thing after the next.
Oh.
This guy, it was
He's
it was,
cut.
It
He's
was
cut.
torture.
He's cut.
So
It's got to be the haircut.
so Magger is we're gonna take a month and just let him get a little older, and
Right.
then
He's not ready.
Banks went through something similar, but
Yeah.
definitely not.
Yeah,
as
and
extreme.
you're such a trooper. You fly with Mac, and then she sends me to 33D and E.
Well, no, this time because
And I fly with Banks, and honestly, I would gladly sit in the back of the plane with Banks and sit first class with Mac.
Mac.
Any day. Send me back. Send me back. I could care less.
I always offer to Tyson. I'm always like, you can totally sit in first class.
No.
You just have to sit with Mac.
I love you, and I would do
Pass.
anything
Hard
for you,
pass.
but not that. Let's see. Let's talk about the pros that came down. We had Connor Garnett, CG. I think CG has got a lot of great insight. I think he taught some tennis back in the day. He's kind of doing some of his own teaching there in Orange County. Yeah, during group discussions was very vocal. I know K-Mac and I really like hyper-focused on his two-handed backhand. I mean, that's like the beauty of his game. He does a lot of great things, but if there's one thing in particular that he does better than most, it's use that two-y. So we kind of used him a lot during those demos and showed that sexy two-handed backhand, even though Sperling's looks better, right, K-Mac?
Right. Sperling, what's he doing? He's got to use his, but no, I think you and I, we touch on a lot of things, but you don't use a two-handed backhand. I don't use one all the time. So certainly very relevant topic. And we've got, somebody who probably has the best one in the game.
Right.
Certainly it was nice to hear his thoughts on some of the nuanced, ways of how he hits it so well.
But yeah, definitely knows his stuff, seemed very comfortable in a group setting. Anytime we broke off and did 8-1 as well. All the individual attention he gave campers, I thought was totally spot on. Also, we had my buddy Matt Marcel.
Mm-hmm.
Matt's going to start working for us this year, pretty much full-time as an assistant. Great guy. Played college tennis with him. Talk about full circle.
Pro player.
Kind of a cool story about Matt. He has cystic fibrosis, right?
Yep.
And doctors told him at a young age he wasn't going to live past the age of 12, and now here he is, shining, doing his thing. He's on the PPA tour. He just spoke at a conference.
I think he received an award, so I think it's pretty rare. I don't know a lot about the disease, but I know that it seems pretty rare that
lung disease,
someone
right?
would live that long and be active in the level or the capacity that he is at. So they think it's super cool and something they want to get in front of other people that have it as an inspiration, and so kudos to Matt for being brave and getting up there and accepting his award.
He had called my wife and I a couple times like before this conference, and I think he spoke in front of like 10,000 people.
Yeah.
And he was like worried, very worried. and we're like, bro, it is your time, right?
Yeah.
It is your calling. It is your time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you're gonna be totally fine. So don't worry about all the anxiety.
And super cool too. I think he's had matches before where he's played on the tour and he's been on center court. And I think I don't know if you were commentating, K-Mac, or something.
I was, yeah. When they made it through
touched on
qualies and they played a first round against somebody, but I was on the mic for it. I was real proud of him.
Yeah. And I think it was mentioned there a little bit about his cystic fibrosis, but really cool story, really cool guy, loves our kids, freaking has a heart for Mac, little Mackie. He has a heart for him.
Not many do.
Yeah, exactly.
We also had Sperling down there. We all know Sperling knows his stuff. Great guy, great human, and has led some camp for us. And I've got a lot of faith in that man. Mark Milner, my old tennis coach back in the day, full circle. I used to work with him from like age 12 to age 15. And then once I started beating him, as he likes to say, then I moved on to bigger and better things. But love me some Marky. Mark brought his wife down as well.
Yeah.
Esther, she's a total sweetheart.
Nice meeting her.
K-Mac, who else we have?
Cammy was there for the second one.
Camo, come on.
Camo.
Now. Oh yeah, top 8 in the world back in the day. Knows her stuff. Lives in San Diego's got a quarter of the house. Love me some Cammy McGregor. And then
Matt Pangasser.
We had Pangasser. We had Aldo that last day. Love me some Aldo. Aldo's a local kid down there. Anyhow, so great group of people. Obviously, K-Mac knows if you have a good group around you as a lead, it just makes you that much more successful and just makes your job easier, right, K-Mac?
No, 100%. I mean, when you have confidence in your assistants, you can focus a lot on the demos, just the flow of everything, and you more or less runs itself. But when you're using people that you don't know about, you're feeling like you have to look over their shoulder constantly. It's just a lot going on if you don't have confidence, in your assistant. So it's a huge deal.
No, for sure.
We're blessed to have such a great team.
So probably our favorite location. K-Mac, tell me, what was your favorite place to eat? I mean, over the last 2 years of hanging out in LB, if you could choose one restaurant, is it Lily's? Is it La Casita? Is it the place that we waited 3 hours to eat that one night?
I think, is it Trini's or Trinity's?
Trini's, Campestre.
Trini's.
Right, the one that
I
we
think
waited
Trini's, for a family, I thought Trini's was kind of the best blend of like comfortable, but also they had a kids meal or a kids menu, so it was the most affordable with being comfortable. And but I mean, La Casita, just the fish that we got, the sushi there with how fresh it was a little bit more expensive, but that's my choice. My choice just because of how tasty everything was.
Yeah. So Lily's is probably my favorite location. Like
right, authentic.
She cooks for all the great schools in town.
Yeah.
And I'm a big salsa guy, as my guy Colton knows here, and as Yame knows. Yame and I had a breakfast burrito this morning, and we just dumped a bunch of hot sauce on our head. We're going to be paying for it in the morning. You know what I mean? But anyhow, anytime I go to Lily's, I'm sweating through all my food, but very authentic. Basically, you drive down this very dark alley.
It's called Salsa Puedes.
And it's a pain in the ass to park there.
The road to nowhere. It's a dead end cul-de-sac, right? And at the end of the cul-de-sac, Lily lives there. I believe her dad lives there and her sister. And so they kind of open up their front yard area, and it's grown over the years. Now they have a full built-out bar,
right.
And then they have just their regular like grill area and a big taco bar where you go up and get all your things. It's on the honor system, so you order and you got to remember what you order before you go up there to pay. So you got to tell them what you ordered, and then you pay.
Doesn't get better than that, right?
No, for sure. And her dad, I believe it's her dad, her Octavio. He worked at actually the place we got married is a very old hotel that's been very little renovations done to it, but he worked at that bar for many, 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 many years, and then now he obviously runs the bar at their house. So to see it all evolve like over the years, and she cooked for our wedding, so yeah, lots of really cool stuff. So.
But yeah, tacos, quesadillas, tortas. You can get a baked potato with carne asada in there, and then go to the little bar area and load it up with a bunch of goodies and salsa and
corn, and comes with corn and mushrooms, and then like your meat, and then you go and load it up with like cabbage and
sign me up, coach.
Cucumber and all the things. Yeah. Oh, so good.
Well, I think honestly that was probably my kid's favorite meal. It's just so unique. You're in basically somebody's backyard, right?
Yep.
And we had the stray dogs coming in, just smiling up at us, looking for food. My kids wanted to adopt like every dog that we saw.
That's funny. That's awesome. K-Mac, so when you guys stayed like an extra week, did you go to Trace or play or anything?
Yeah, no. So I promised my son Caden, who's my pickleballer, that we would go and play and do like the paddle in, which I'd never done, but I was able to see kind of the flow and why people like the culture there at Trace so much. And most of the courts weren't like high level or low level. It was just 4 paddles in, you're on. But they did have like a challenge court, which I think was like 2 in and 2 on, and the winners would stay. So I just did paddle in with my 9-year-old. And he hasn't played a lot of match play, but we've been out there and, drilled a bit. So I just partnered with him, but he had a blast. We were getting sometimes some 4-0 level play. I told him, I said, hey, I know he's a kid. Don't play easy on him. Just kind of play your normal shot. And, he loved it. I will say this. I mean, I said that to one group of guys. And I don't know, once they realized that I was like a good player, they then took that as let's hit every ball as hard as we can at the 9-year-old. So I was like, well, I guess that kind of backfired. They were missing most of the time anyways, but no, it was great. It was just a lot of fun. I was able to play some games, just, backyard style with my son. It kind of just reminded me of getting into the game, right? Now that I'm coaching or taking it so seriously all the time, it was fun to get out there kind of grassroots style. And he had an absolute blast.
Remind yourself why you do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
While you're doing it. That's an awesome dad moment. So kind of the schedule in LB, we would play in the morning, 7 to 9, 7 to 10. We go back to the house, or I see Colton, my videographer, who's a total stud. We would go to this little gas station or grocery store, and we'd pick up 100 pounds of ice, and it cost us 400 pesos. And then we'd buy the ice, we'd pick up breakfast to go. Bomb breakfast every morning. We go back to the house. We ended up staying with our good buddy Brad. Brad's an owner of
Scottsdale Scorchers
of the Arizona Pickleball League. Yep. Shout out to B-Rad. We all love ourselves some Brad.
Oh yeah, Yolanda, his wife, so sweet, and also Harper, who is the star of the show. Her banks are like thick as thieves. They look like they could be sisters.
Right.
And
they were so cute that whole trip. Right? They were just always connected.
Matching dresses.
Yeah, Yolanda
they had
was
the
so
same,
sweet.
Same hairstyle.
She had picked out all the somehow in town was able to find the cutest little matching outfits the whole time. They looked so cute.
But yeah, so we come back to the house, load up the inflatable plunge. You bet your ass I brought that thing. And we'd put 100 pounds of ice in there. I would jump in. Connor and Matt would come over. Brad got jumping in the plunge.
Yep. Everybody was coming out red skin.
Oh, yeah. Mr. Moreno next to me over here. Modelo on ice, baby. Got him that plunge, statue-like. I mean, swallowed it down like a freaking machine. The guy's a savage, okay? I mean, what can this man not do? Anyhow, so we plunge in the morning, and then we go to Trace, have breakfast, go to Trace, teach from 11 to 3. Trace would provide a nice little lunch from 3 to 4. We'd hang out with the campers, take photos, all that good stuff. K-Mac was always taking his shirt off for the campers, you know.
Couldn't help it, you know.
I mean, God,
they come to expect
keep
that
your
now.
clothes on.
When in Mexico.
Yeah, when in Mexico.
Actually, Kyle does it at most camps. Actually.
Yeah, right.
Well, apparently. I have a problem, apparently.
Well, everybody requests.
Well, he's
so,
commentating, he's doing camps, you know, for God's
He's there
sake.
and eager to please.
Give the people what they want.
exactly.
Give them what they want.
Funny. Never mind. I won't go there. Never mind.
But kind of cool. So the whole Mexico trip got filmed. So we're coming out with a vlog. It's coming out next week. We also got a ton of camp promo from it. Like we're going to run a full camp video that showcases like what we do at TM and KM camps. Yep. We'll attach the schedule to that video as well. Not going to lie. Our website's getting revamped at the moment. The camp schedule is not out. We have a camp coming up in Phoenix here in a couple weeks. So if you guys want to sign up for the camp, you can email.
Please email info@tysonmcguffin.com.
K-Mac will be leading that
We
camp.
will get you signed up. We'll get your
got
slot
you.
slot saved. Sorry. It should be held at Pickle Mall. That's where the camp will be held.
Sweet.
And so, but we're like 98% that it'll be there. So,
And then website you think will be updated by?
we're hoping like within the next week. But part of this too, like the reason why the schedule's taken so long is just this whole merger and all of the things and all the dates and all the things.
Right.
So we've just been trying to be conscious of that. We know, we want to be able for people that do take advantage of playing in the tournaments that then they could stay after the Monday, Tuesday after versus us just saying, hey, let's do our own schedule. So yeah, we're just trying to get everything rolled out and we are very close. And so, yeah, hopefully in the next week, we'll see a new website and it'll be totally, easier process to sign
Polished.
up. It's going to be polished. Yeah, for sure. So,
And so for all the viewers out there, still running the PPA camps after PPA events, correct?
correct.
Or they're not PPA camps, but
But yeah. We're, in conjunction, partnered camp. So, yep, we'll be the Monday,
the
Tuesday.
PPA experience,
Yeah,
you know?
right. Exactly. So
And then
we'll
MLP, we'll be doing some stuff after MLP events as well.
Correct. So there'll be some MLPs and some PPAs. So yeah, you'll get a little bit of both. And then as we all know, there's some MLP PPA events that are combined. So so the schedule will be out. I think we've teased the schedule a little bit. I think Emily has sent out, and we are taking deposits on camps too. If someone's like, no matter what, I want to be a part of this camp, they can definitely do that, but it won't be long, maybe a week or so before the whole thing is up on the website. So.
Right. Also, too, kind of a hit to some of the content that's being pushed out. So K-Mac and I, as we had mentioned, did all these educational videos and, just to be honest, we did these videos at the beginning of December, and they look great and they're very polished.
You
But
just had a different paddle in your hand.
I had a different paddle in my hand, and now I'm with a new company, and I'm not gonna lie, I am unable to put those videos on YouTube at the moment. So just so you guys are aware, once we get through all the editing and we add graphics, make it super visual, make it easy for you guys to read and finalize all that, we're probably going to put a price point on it. And YouTube has a subscription-based platform that'll just be on my Pickleball YouTube channel. Also, I believe on socials, we'll be blasting it as well. So just so you're aware, we have, 20 to 25 or 20 to 30 videos that's coming out. It's probably going to be a couple months once we edit all those things, and we'll have them for sale. I'm sorry that we are adding a price point on it, but there's nothing I can do. My hands are kind of tied at the moment. And
but with that being said, kind of exciting news. I don't know, Kyle, if you want to announce it, but you're also now.
Yeah, I am decked out in the JOOLA gear. No, Yep, very excited to announce it. Just been playing with the paddle the last couple of days and absolutely loving it. But I am part of Team JOOLA as well. All the cool kids are doing it, so I had to jump on board.
So with that being said, we will definitely film some new instructional content, now that we're all Team JOOLA. And
put a Magnus in this man's hand.
Yeah, exactly. So there will still be content that will be rolling out on YouTube that will be free to everybody. It just...
yeah, and if you guys are worried about me charging for content, know that I never wanted to go that route. But
if you just need it right now and you can't wait for the free stuff, we will find a way to get it to you regardless.
Correct. And also, you should know that K-Mac and I have provided about 200 free educational videos on YouTube, so you cannot be mad at me. You cannot.
There's a lot of free good stuff out there for sure.
There is.
Check it out.
Let's see. Okay, so Palm Springs. So Palm Springs, flew there Tuesday night. Max never flying with us again. Wednesday, and I don't know how I feel about this, but if you were 1 through 8 seed, you don't have to play till Thursday. Tuesday is qualies. And
32 round of 32 is Wednesday.
Yeah, so Tuesday is quali. So most of the quali draws, like singles, you had to win 3 matches. Doubles, you had to win 2 matches. Mix, you had to win 2 matches. In K-Mac, I don't believe there's women's qualies, right? Just men's singles.
I don't know if there's enough yet for that. I'm sure it's just a matter of time. But no, they haven't had the same number of registrants that the guys have had.
Yeah, so it was kind of nice because I was worried about flying in last minute Tuesday. But we were able to get some practice in Wednesday. Kind of tricky, though, because, it's nice that PPA is offering assigned practice courts, but little did I know, and maybe the information was put out. I just didn't see it. My wife should be telling me. I'm just kidding. But, yeah, so in order for you to be practicing at the venue, you need to contact Dylan, who we all know is great at his job and puts in a ton of time and effort, and we love ourselves some D. But you gotta reach out to that man, usually like the day before, and get your practice schedule.
Get your slot.
Yeah, get your slot scheduled for the next day. Those slots were like an hour. So Wednesday morning, got some practice in with CG. In the morning, played some with Dekel and then played some with Meghan. So definitely nice to kind of take that Wednesday off to get a little practice in. Yep. Don't know how I feel about in qualies, not only do they, if you play 3 events in qualies and you make it through, you play 3 matches in singles, 2 out of 3. You play 2 matches in men's, 2 out of 3. You play 2 matches in mixed, 2 out of 3. And then you got to play your round of 32. Round of 32? Yeah.
On Wednesday.
No, on Tuesday. It's Tuesday night.
Oh, correct.
Right.
Round of 32 is Tuesday night. Okay,
sorry. I thought round of 32 is Wednesday, and then 16 is Thursday.
Shame on me. Correct.
Because you were seated in top 8, you started at 16.
Right.
But they would play 32 on Wednesday.
Still,
So
if you make it through qualies and all 3 events,
grind.
that's 7 matches for the day. Yeah.
It's tough to try to play 3 events in the qualies, right? Like that's a lot of pickleball if you're trying to make it through.
Yeah. And I don't know if there was anybody in qualies. I should probably know this if they made
multiple events.
Yeah, I made it through all 3. But so come Wednesday, got some practice in. That was the round of 32. And then Tuesday we got rocking and roll. Or sorry, Thursday we got rocking and rolling. First round in singles, I played Marcel Chan, who's hanging out upstairs, and wasn't sharp early on. He played well early on, and then I ended up losing game 1, and then won game 2 and game 3. I think we got down 1-9. Kind of funny. Something that Craig told me, and something that I obviously know, but. Is anytime I have a good point, the first person that screams "baby" is guess who? It is my wife. She is dialed. Always on it.
Always focused.
Craig is next, but my wife is first. So we're down 1-9. We kind of chip away. I think we kind of use the driving crash combo. Got some free points there. Ended up winning game 1, lost game 2, and then climbed back in game 3. But I thought overall, Meghan, she played tough. She's got a good drive, got a good serve, hits this really hybrid drop. It's like a half drive, half drop. It allows me to disconnect and I can poach off of it.
And
her dinking is linear and super aggressive, and really it never pops the ball up. And she's using this new Proton paddle. I don't know much about that paddle, but just feeling it, it wouldn't be a paddle that I I would like. And feeling the face, it didn't feel all that gritty. But with the way she was able to shape the ball, she's been working on differentiating her forehand dink and using topspin and slice. I think her best dink is like that pushing slice. She can go inside foot, she can go outside foot. She leans well. She's got heavy hands, and something that I felt she did very well was anything kind of floating in the middle, or if they sped in the middle and it was coming cross court and I'm kind of honoring line. If the girl sped middle, I can't tell you how many times she put a hole through the guy in front of her with that big old bazooka two-handed backhand. Yeah. And K-Mac, I know you watched some of that.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, I think she wasn't as much on my radar as she should have been a few months ago. And you started talking about, her being a likely partner for you. I really watched her closely those last MLP in Dallas, when we played them, and I was super impressed. I always knew she had the hands, right? And that's such a weapon to have, because you can build around that. Now that her soft game is pretty dialed, I mean, she's a player to watch out for, in women's as well. Her and Etta Wright played Annalie and Catherine quite close. I think they ended up finishing with the bronze. Yep. So definitely a player that's on the rise, a perfect time for you to pick her up. She does so many things well. Because her hands are so good, I feel like it allows you to play that up-tempo style or make it messy occasionally, and she can kind of clean up the mess in a big way too. So I feel like you guys can do a lot together as a team, and you guys are going to be dangerous this year. Yeah,
and she's versatile too. I mean, she can play the left, she can play the right. Against Hayden and then against James, with their big serve and stuff, we decided not to switch anytime she was returning on the left. And I think a tip out there for higher level players, if you guys are stacking and the guy always wants to be on the left, but you feel like your opponent has a big serve and your female is trying to disconnect, maybe it makes sense just to stay a little bit and not get beat by the drive and the crash. Or if the guy can play some good singles and can trust that he can cover 80% of the court on his fourth ball, maybe it does make sense that you guys switch. But yeah, so she played well in that match. And then later on, we ended up playing Augie, who came out. Don't know if you know who Augie is.
I know who he is. I haven't seen him play much, but I've been hearing in the Phoenix area, he's the real deal.
Yep, yeah. So we played, Declan and I played Augie and Craig. Not going to lie, played 3 matches Thursday, won all 3 and 3. Probably not the route to go, but first tournament of the year, had to get the jitters out, but it's not about how you start, it's about how you finish. Mm-hmm. And we lost game 1, and then once Declan and I really just kind of settled in, and we went away from the drive and played a bit more calculated, which is probably, not always like us, but we found that, if we could just keep the ball in play and play a bit more high percentage, play a bit more tactical, we were winning a high percentage of points from the kitchen line. So we played Augie and Craig Johnson. K-Mac, you know who Craig Johnson is? Probably one of the nicest guys.
Yeah, I know Craig. Yeah, solid player for sure.
Yeah. If you ever meet Craig's dad, you would literally walk up to him and say, "Are you Craig's dad?" Looks freaking identical, spitting image, same teeth, same smile, same look. I mean, Craig is the nicest guy.
What's up? It was so funny when we were leaving the venue. We were talking to Craig, of course, after the match, he's such a nice guy, comes up and, I mean, they lost, but he was all about it. He was just still super nice and saying goodbye. And we were joking with trainer Craig, and we're like, Craigie, and something about it's just the name. And Craig's like, yeah, I just didn't know who to cheer for. He's like, I almost had to pull for Craig because Craig and Craig love. Yeah, Craig love.
Yep. And then Friday, let's see, played Dylan in singles. We all know Dylan broke through.
Jeez.
No tennis background. Dylan who? The guy played freaking lights out. Nothing against him at all. I wasn't super sharp. I'm still tinkering around with the serve and had a hard time getting depth on the serve. Still trying to figure out the paddle and stuff like that. Huge fan of the paddle. Obviously, it's just early. And then adding in the new ball. I felt like the new ball. Yeah, it was super light. It kind of sprayed a little bit. And there's just different nuances with that ball. But Dylan mopped the floor, beat me up pretty good. It was 5 and 6. And it just seemed like there was moments in that match where I'd raise the level, and then certain moments where I just couldn't keep the level. So obviously, if I'm gonna win, if I'm gonna end up on Championship Sunday, I have to be able to sustain that level for a whole match. And I think that's what makes and breaks the greats is that even when like they're not playing well, they can still find a level that that they can win at, or they can play high percentage at. But yeah, so Dylan beat me 5 and 6, and then yeah, like the tricky thing about that is that after you lose, like you still have a full day ahead of you. I mean, talk about Ben on day one. Lost to Guangdong. Ben's in the pro lounge and didn't look very happy. Still won the rest of the day. But I mean, honestly, it is tough, and I think some of the greats obviously do this well, but having that quick reset method and being able to push all that stuff out and like refocus and get the brain like rewired goes a long ways, especially in this new format.
Do you like the progressive draw? I mean, I pros and cons for each style, but yeah, kind of different mentally if you take a tough loss. Are you more a fan of it with the scheduled times and kind of knowing what your day looks like?
Yeah, I think tactically, like you can look at your draw a bit more. You have more time to look at it. We kind of talked about that. I think the scheduled times like allows for like my fans or people at the venue to be able to watch certain players that they like. I feel like with the 2 out of 3 format versus 3 out of 5, like we had at nationals, it's it's only like 3 matches a day, versus versus if I'm playing singles on Thursday and like a regular draw, I'm playing 4 matches. And so I think that one less match, it just feels like the day is a little smoother. To my advantage, I got my day started early. I played at like 10, 1, and 3. So I was home by 5 p.m. Nothing better to like have the family on the road and be like having dinner around the table with the crew at 5 p.m. or, just earlier versus playing until 6 or 7. Obviously there was matches that went late. I think like some of the last matches that went on were like 6 or 7. And talk about like a difference in temperature too, for gosh sakes, like in the morning in Palm Springs, it's like in the 40s, like the ball is flying throughout the day. Like the ball got hot and mushy. It slows down. You can shape it a lot better. And then at night, ice cold, it flies on you. So you get this like different with the temperature and the ball conditions. And I don't know, like I haven't played with the ball enough now where if there's like more variables with the Vulcan ball versus the Dura with temperature. But I do know that with how sandpaperish and how gritty those freaking PPA courts are mixed with that Vulcan ball, like that ball was getting eaten up. And so something that's different is that the ball gets changed out every game.
Yeah.
Also, something that is very different about that Vulcan ball is that when it's new, I was telling Yame and the crew this like this morning. So we used some new Vulcan balls. Like that new Vulcan ball, when it's fresh, is actually gritty. It feels like a Dura ball when it's rough. It's kind of interesting.
Okay.
It has some. Not gonna say it has goo on it, but it's got like a little texture, and it kind of like sticks to your fingers a little bit. So. And I honestly, I haven't played with it enough. Like I personally feel like you can shape it more, you can cover the ball more. Obviously, I'm playing with a paddle right now that feels like I have strings on it, so I'm like letting my wrist go and just getting a lot more shape and trusting my spin on the drop a lot more. But yeah, so got beat up by Dylan Friday morning. Had to get my shit together, and then we played mix in the afternoon, like around 1. We played Federico and Rachel. Rachel's good.
She is good. She's the real deal for sure. I made the finals with Anna Bright, a respectable final, and still hasn't been playing long either.
No. And I mean, I swear that new generation that's coming in, it like they hit this hype. Like there's no guiding and steering the drop. Like it's super aggressive on the drop. It's taking a full swing on their dink and still keeping it down. And like the dink swing looks identical to her speed up. Yeah, we played super locked in. They tried to drive through us kind of early on. Something I was telling Meghan was, let's look to be aggressive on the return. Let's push them back on the return and see if we can get a gain out of that. And K-Mac, as you know, I like to be aggressive on 4th balls as well. And so they were having a hard time getting established and getting in. And just with that, anytime we got the ball, we were able to capitalize on our serve. And whether it was driving or dropping, we found just different areas where we could, kind of benefit from. Like we were able to win a lot of points by driving and crashing, but also we were winning a lot of points by, playing a bit more discipline and just getting up and established and dinking away. And I can't tell you how many times. Yeah, Rachel tried to come through me a couple times. with that new Magnus and that new sword that I'm playing with. I was popping those counters down, and then she started speeding middle a little bit, and I was kind of leaning line, you know, trying to honor line. And I can't tell you how many times Meghan was there putting holes through Federico. And I love me some Fetty, but Meghan played well. And not gonna lie too, in that match, I was talking to the boys about this morning, like, Fed tried to come through Meghan a couple times, and she slid, found a two-y, and went past him like once or twice. And nothing against Fed at all, because Fed's playing at a high level and obviously played lights out all weekend. But Fed stopped coming at her after he got punished a couple times. And so I think there's something with, if you can hit a big counter, or like early on, if you can win some hand battles, sometimes they just don't want to come again.
It's like getting dunked on, right? It's still only worth like 1 point, but it feels worse, right? Like a little bit of an ego hit when you try overpowering the gal in front of you and it comes back bigger. You definitely think twice about sending a message and staying offensive, which is exactly what you want your opponent to feel like, right? The male player, the mixed doubles, feeling like they're in a shell is huge.
In a box. Put them in the penalty box.
Put them in a penalty box. And then so won that, and then won that in 2, and then played the Johns boys later on. Obviously, Dekel lives in Austin. So does the Johns boys. They all practice together. I believe Dekel and Colin and Ben have their Pickleball Getaways company together. They have Pickleball 360 together, which is an online library that you can pay for and check out their educational videos. I heard it was very good. And knowing those guys know their stuff, so I guarantee it's good. Sure. But yeah, Dekel and I tried to drive early. I think, we started out like 4-0. Dekel drove 2 down the middle, got some freebies there. Colin wasn't too happy early on because Dekel was finding the tape. So he was kind of doing his usual, banter.
So annoying. I think
it's so annoying. Okay. Hey, CJ doesn't like you touching the tape. Yeah, he doesn't.
No, take the tape out of the game.
Good on him though for just letting it out, right? He doesn't hide it.
And honestly, something with those Selkirk nets, like obviously love those nets, but there is a bit more give in those Selkirk nets than like your normal nets or like, sorry, the normal nets, like the nets that you put in the ground, or like the C&D net, which is like the strap is like a little tighter. So not going to say it plays like a temporary net, because it doesn't. It's permanent, but it has a bit more give. And anyhow, so once they kind of locked in, we all know what happened. But I thought overall for Dekel and I, we ended up losing like 9 and 8.
Good showing.
Yeah, we had like 9 all. Yep. Game 1, I ended up popping up a drop too high. Actually, it wasn't popped up too high. Just K-Mac and I've been talking about this. Just my forehand is too good to be guiding and steering and like floating my drops. And just with paddle technology and with the idea that players are being a lot more aggressive off the bounce, I just have to start hitting more linear drops. And I can't tell you over like the last year and a half how many tight moments I've been in where I've kind of floated a drop and then we weren't able to get established. So something I know now is I'm going to start utilizing that hybrid drop, and I'm going to trust it. But they ended up climbing away with game 1. Game 2, we kind of got down a little bit and climbed back. Ended up losing 8-11. But overall, I thought it was a good experience for us. Dekel and I are definitely building as a unit. Love that man. He does a lot of things well. And we're actually showing up together in Phoenix. We're going to train at Brad's house the Friday before for a couple days. CG's coming. Yame's going to be there. We'll have a couple guys there, and we're going to find the best version of ourselves. But K-Mac, just give us a little recap of what you saw over the weekend. Women's, obviously Anna Lee did her thing. The girl freaking never loses. She's way too good. Women's doubles, women's singles, mixed, like the men's final, taking a look at like Fed and Pablo. Fed and Pablo played well in game 1. And then I've seen this happen a couple times where like the Johns lose game 1, and then once they figure out what you're doing, I mean, for gosh sakes, it is surgical. Scary surgical. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
It's so tough, man. I mean, specifically about the Johns brothers is they're not doing a whole lot different that they've done in the last year. It's just no one's really found that blueprint that they can consistently execute to be able to take them down. I know they've had some losses, but they've had really early round losses against some different teams that kind of just more or less went for broke, as far as I know. But in a big hyped up match, just the level that they're able to sustain is just scary good. It looked like in that match, they won a relatively tight game 1. Riley and Thomas did a side switch where they threw Thomas on the left, just to throw them a different look. And they were kind of bouncing around. That got them game 2. But once the Johns brothers kind of settled in and realized, some of the different patterns with Thomas on the left or going back and forth, again, they just ran away with it. And it's so tough for other teams to feel like you have to create offense and beat them in that defensive grinding dink battle. And really, I think in order to beat them, you have to be able to kind of zig in and out of like what you're trying to do. I think at times you need to dink aggressive and then look to pull the trigger, in these, unique spots. But I think at times you have to sink back into, I'm just going to grind with you for a little bit to almost throw them off. You know what I mean? Because it seems like sustaining that offensive strategy. You've seen, Matt and Riley get a game here. They lose in 4, but they haven't really been able to get more than a game much. So it's going to take quite a performance to beat that team right now consistently. And I'm not sure, maybe somebody like a Jack Sock with everything that he brings to the table from a hand speed and athleticism. But I feel like you almost need someone who has faster hands than Ben or is a better athlete to be able to take them down. And then, in women's, it's tough to talk about anybody other than Anna Lee. It's just the women's game is getting more depth. There's better athletes. There's high-level tennis background people that are coming in that are 24, 25 years old. And just the whole arsenal that Anna Lee has just is still unmatched. And just she's got a great forehand. People don't talk about that enough. But her control and power and aggression and athleticism on that two-handed backhand it's really a sight to behold. She's just on another planet right now.
Yeah. And it just seems like the level that she's able to bring compared to most of the other women is just a notch above. Right. And taking a look at taking a look at just Ben this last weekend, and we were texting about this. It just seemed like he was driving more thirds and then kind of using the fifth as like a drop. And I don't know if that's the new paddle, getting more pop, that's the new ball. Or if that was just like the temperatures in general, but it really seemed like he was using that drive drop combo well, and he was getting established way too often for gosh sakes. And something that Declan and I talked about is that when you play those guys, there's really not an answer on the return. You have to just realize
right.
that and just accept the fact that they're always going to get up and establish, right?
Which is crazy too, because I mean, like we've been talking about, or you referenced your mixed match against Federico. In mix and how your aggression was keeping them from getting established. Players are getting so aggressive on fourth balls and sometimes getting to the kitchen line is the differentiator. But yeah, it's crazy how consistently they're able to get up and neutralize the point. I think it speaks not just to their drop, but just how dialed in both of them are in transition, right, where it's just very, very tough to keep them from getting all the way up there. And we know how dangerous they are once they get into the dink rally at the kitchen line.
And it's funny too, like talking about, that older generation, like Andre and Colin and myself, like, Andre's guiding and steering his drop. Colin is guiding and steering his drop. I was guiding and steering my drop. Like, obviously it still works, but you take a look at CJ and how many balls it takes him to get up. I mean, and like the feel he has with that new, technology with JOOLA. Obviously it's very forgiving and soft, but it's also it packs a punch. It's just interesting how just like that new generation is coming in and like hitting these hybrid drops and all that. But at the end of the day, like take a look at the Johns, like back to the basics, getting established, putting so much pressure on you by always being in your face and getting established goes such a long ways. Like it doesn't have to be complex, it doesn't.
Well, it's crazy. Like we talked about the game's changing, it's getting more aggressive, and we're seeing that at kind of the mid-tier, even mid-high tier of the pro game, at least on the men's side. But you're right. The number one team, the untouchable team, they're winning it old school, right? They're taking their time getting up to the kitchen line. Once they're up at the kitchen line, they're keeping their dinks down. They're mostly going cross court, kind of daring you into a low percentage speed up. So even though, yes, there's a time and a place for aggression, we see it coming into the game. What's really setting the standard here is still kind of old school fundamentals, at least at the moment.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so mixed doubles. So Saturday, Meghan and I lost in 3 to James and Anna. I thought overall we, brought a pretty good level. James probably per game got at least 3 to 5 1-2 combos anytime Meghan was returning. I've got to do a better job. We've talked about this. I got to do a better job of like using my defense that I use in singles and being a good defender and covering more court and like hitting a bigger fourth ball. And obviously with that new paddle, it allows me to just get a lot more punch on that fourth ball. So I think if we could have like just stop their flow a little bit or just found different ways to neutralize his serve, hit a bigger fourth. They're not getting established as much. He's not hitting 1-2 combos. I think that match could have been a little different. But obviously, James and Anna, great team. Anna's playing at a super high level right now. Silver in women, silver in mixed. Don't know when they're going to make that breakthrough. Obviously, James and Anna, took a match off of Ben and Anna Lee at the Masters. Granted, first round. We all know that if you're gonna beat Ben, usually it happens early on. I would like to know the stats on that. I would
get him when he's sleeping.
I would, and nothing against that win at all because it's a great team. And James right now, like we've talked about this. Like James last year, like James in transition and just mentally where James was at, like. Not going to say he was fragile by any means, but he was just very unsure of himself. And this year, much more confident, and he's dinking much more aggressively, and he's using his hands, and like the hands look better. He looks better in transition. I mean, James is like a 2.0 version of himself right now.
He's the real deal. I think everybody saw the upside last year, but you're right. I think just maybe that pressure of consistently getting wins at the highest level, and maybe him trying to play like other people or how you're quote supposed to play. He looks like he's figured out how to build his game around what he does well right now, and he's looking pretty dangerous for sure.
Jimmy, Papa Hemi, that man is still him. Let's see here. So singles, Jack Sock. Beat Connor in 3. I think Connor was up in game 2. But what Jack can do on the serve, what he can do on the forehand, the guy moves like a freaking gazelle. And I honestly don't know if he's doing a ton of fitness right now, but he looks like he's moving great, like super explosive with his first step. Him and I, play very similar, serve and forehand, live and die by what you do well. But also too, like on the returning side, like I thought, obviously he's got great hands and, won the Olympics in men's, got a gold, was number 1 in the world in men's doubles as well. Just how he's able to defend in singles, and like he's a huge body up there. Definitely a dangerous player, but got a win over Connor, got a win over Jay. Kind of got ran over by Fed. Don't know if that was gas tank Fed was obviously, he played super well this last weekend. And then Dylan beating Fed in the finals. I thought, and not gonna lie. So when I played Fed Thursday morning or Friday morning, Ben had lost. The draw is widely available. I may have been looking ahead. I may have been not showing Dylan the respect that he freaking deserves. I got ran over, and Dylan ended up beating Kwong in 3, and then beat. He was down 3-9 in game 3 against Fed, and climbed back and serving forehand, baby, serving forehand. And for a guy with no tennis background, he's using that little rolly two-y, yanking it cross court, getting that sucker down, and which is forcing his opponent to like pop up a volley, and then Dylan's finding a forehand from there. Smart.
Well, he's tough to score points on too. He can really make the server go in these ruts just with his athleticism, his lateral movement, court coverage, up at the kitchen line. But I was impressed. I've always known Dylan as more the cat and mouse type guy. And I know the two-hander has been a work in progress. He started returning with it, but you're right. He was able to shape it and allow himself to move forward much better than I'd ever seen. And even before he took you down, a little bit of an upset, he took down J-Dub in the round before. So
3-6.
He won a title,
3-6.
Really with several pretty good size on paper upsets, relative to his singles results before. Always been a good singles player, but it seemed like he kind of hit that ceiling and it was tough for him to break through. And, after this week, you better watch out.
Give me your thoughts on Jeannie Bouchard.
Yeah, it was rough to watch. Obviously, she may get tremendously better 6 months from now, but it had looked like she'd played pickleball a total of 5 or 6 times in her life, which is disappointing, and I don't know if that's true. But to get a good-sized contract, to know several months in advance you're about to play this other professional sport, there's a lot of work that still needs to be done. I'm hopeful that she'll take this as like a wake up call and say, okay, I want to show my sponsors and my fans that I really bring a lot to the table athletically. But it just looked like, she was completely over her head with not just skills, but even shot selection and kind of even understanding, how a basic point is structured. So rough first outing for her.
And knowing what she did in tennis, all the hard work she put in, and obviously if you're going to reach that level in tennis, you've worked your ass off. I would assume that's going to carry over here very soon. J-Dub did not have the best tournament. Obviously it's early on. Don't know if it's the new carbon. It's not new. He's been using it for a couple months now, but it's the new Franklin carbon, or the Vulcan ball, or the temperatures there in Palm Springs. But did you get a chance to watch DUPR?
Yeah, I saw them lose to Pat and Jay in doubles. Shout out to those guys.
Those guys played well.
I hadn't seen them on the same side of the net in a while, and
Boys
they
are
looked
back
like
together.
the team of old. It's amazing how far chemistry goes. But I think with J-Dub, he's similar to Ben in a way that, yes, he can be offensive. He can do a lot of things well, but he's such like a disciplined percentage player, mostly drops his thirds, just stays in the rally with that backhand slice dink. I'm thinking that the new Vulcan ball just maybe floated on him a little bit. We've talked about how we felt like that was a little bit lighter than the Dura. I think maybe just going to take him a tournament or two to get kind of his game dialed. And once he does, we know how tough he is to beat. But to me, I don't know if it's the paddle or the ball, but certainly an off tournament for the standard we're used to from him.
Yeah, big shout out to PPA. I thought the event was ran great. Scheduled matches, everything was on time. You could book practice courts the day before. Also, big shout out to Mission Hills Country Club. That place is beautiful. They had center court rock and rolling, VIP.
They had like player parking nailed for the pros. They had just the whole system of coming in and getting your ticket.
It's polished.
I mean, honestly, and I didn't hear one negative thing about amateur play or anything. It just seems like it was a very well run event.
It was a home run for sure. And I mean, you can't beat being in the desert in January. You have that beautiful background, the mountains and the pine trees and all the above.
And in all whites.
And in all
I
whites.
love the all whites. I love the all whites. I feel like it makes it different and just raises the standard a little bit.
Yeah.
Players feel like it's more important. I think it's cool to do that once a year.
Yeah.
Sure.
A couple things here. Went to the Skechers headquarters directly after the tournament. On that Monday, cool news. We re-signed with Skechers for 2 more years. Got some fun stuff coming around. Maybe a new shoe. Maybe some other stuff. Can't really talk about it at the moment. But something I do know is that they are diving into basketball. They're diving into soccer. They have signed some really top level athletes, and those athletes are wanting some really cool gear. And so with that, it definitely helps my case as well, because I've been knocking at the door, want some cool gear. So tracksuits, butter blend. Anyhow, Skechers is here.
Oh yeah,
Skechers is here.
Yeah,
they are
I feel like
taking
they've
over.
been like covertly here for a long time, but now they got the right people in place, and all these really high level athletes, and their performance side is pretty impressive. And
they brought on some new people for the clothing stuff.
Yeah, they're just their whole team, whether it's apparel or footwear or whatever. I mean, they're just dialed, and they know where they want to get and where they want to go, and it's exciting. It's cool to see. And it's cool to see them enter the team sport arena, because it's just a whole nother level, on things. And so, yeah, just their ability, and just our experience with them and how much they've dived into getting your perspective and getting your feedback, and them saying like, yeah, we can hire all these different testers, and we do, but we really want your feedback. We want to know what you, and then also account for the amateur player as well. So they've been listening really closely. They've, it was really cool in the meeting. There was like some improvements that you wanted to make to your shoe. And as we were sitting there, they were listening to all the improvements you wanted to make. And then boom, they like give you the next version of the shoe, and it solves like most of the issues that you had just brought up. So
yeah, it was like
crazy.
an exact replica of my inside on the next version.
Right.
And they showed me this new version, and they were like, whatever you just said, this is it.
is.
Yeah, this is it. It's pretty sweet.
So they knew, and so it's super cool. And they're, family oriented, obviously. They love our kiddos and everything, and they just have a really stellar team.
Yeah,
Everybody's so super creative, knows their stuff, and really, really exciting things that we can't talk about, but really exciting things coming
Yeah.
up.
And then also, too, we had Iker there. Iker's a videographer that works for Fed, also does some stuff for PPA and DUPR and all that. Iker followed us around the headquarters, and we got like this cool little, not documentary, but like this
Behind
cool
the scenes.
behind the scenes of me, signing the contract and anyhow, so that's going to be coming out here very soon once we can push that out. Mama, is there anything that you want to talk about?
Speaking of content, we had a little controversial, which we didn't intend for it to be, post over and when I say we, I mean me and Tyson. I know that there's yeah, right. Actually, it was supposed to be a magazine cover. Very, very creative photographer. Sai has been kind of working and following Tyson for, I don't know, close to a year now. He works with other boxers and has done some really creative work. And so, yeah, this was like his creative take or his creative thought process on a magazine cover. And if the magazine, it does push the limits a little bit. It's just a little bit more visual, all of the above. But with that being said,
guys aren't visual, you know?
No, I mean, with that being said, I think there were a lot of people really upset about it. It was really interesting.
There wasn't a lot.
There wasn't a lot. There was a handful, and I guess it matters to me. But there was a handful of people. It was really interesting. Like some people were like, "Oh gosh, don't worry, it's not his wife," which I thought that was kind of funny take, anyways. But to be honest, for us, it wasn't a question, and even for Sai, like he said, if Meg's not comfortable, totally fine. I totally get it. But like, I think it'd be cool if it was Meg. And I think for Tyson, like he wouldn't have had anybody. He wouldn't have done it if it would have been another model. Not to say that that's a bad thing either, but so it was cool that I got to do it. And to be honest, there's been some feedback about, I don't know too, like the caption was Red Panty Night. And so that was taken in different context, but it's actually a UFC reference. So for the most people that understood it and got it, it was funny and they thought it was great. And there was no innuendo there. It was just mostly the UFC reference. But with that being said, there were a lot of moms on there or people saying, sorry, not a lot. There were a few comments on there saying things about like, that's so disrespectful to your wife. How could you post that sort of thing? But like, I was very much asked beforehand. It wasn't something that was done without me. She gave me the green light. Yeah, and to be honest, like we post stuff all the time with us playing with our kids in the pool, and we're at the beach running around. And like, to me, I guess I was really taken aback because I think that it covers more than most bathing suits do. And so, and it was funny. I shouldn't say funny, but some of those comments were coming from people that maybe had the same, visual things, but just they were in a bathing suit, so it's okay, And to me, I guess I would say be slow to judge and slow to comment in that, for me, like maybe it wasn't intended this way, but it felt a little shameful. Like we got a little shame from it. And I know that like, I won't speak to who or whatever, but apparently, there's some other comments floating around there that you either have to be the bad boy or you have to be this, or you have to be in this category. You have to be a family man. You have to be this one. But the thing is that I think if there's one thing, and maybe Kyle, you could speak to this, but like, sure. I think we've tried to be ourselves, no matter what we're doing, where we're at, how we raise our kids, how we do our things. And I very much say that like, we're not an instruction book of how to live your life or of how to do things. But if there's one thing that I've always like thrown out there and would like to elaborate more on is there's not just one way, and we're not just one type of people, and we don't fit in one box. We don't just check one box at all. And so, and if there's one thing that, especially with this family vlog that's going to be coming out, we're going to be authentic to who we are. Right. And for us, like, yeah, my kids have seen me in bathing suits all the time. And like, and to point that out in that way, it makes it feel inappropriate when it shouldn't be inappropriate. You know what I mean? And so I guess for me, I would like to say that. And I would like to say that, no, we don't have to be perfect and polished. And we also don't have to be terrible and raunchy and all of that. You know what I mean? We're just going to be who we are. I'm very sorry if anybody didn't like the post or took offense to it. It was not intended that way whatsoever. It was a creative take on things. And to be honest, like all of the stuff that's out there, and I'm not saying that there's different degrees, but in a way I am. Like, you know, when we watch a movie or we turn on a TV show or a kids show, you know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like I said, it's not how it was intended. That's not how I feel it was. And I feel like you should be careful with comments like that. And when you're asking Tyson to be one way or the other, like, please know we're just going to be ourselves. Yeah, go ahead, Kyle. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. The word I was going to say is authentic. And it's really, you've already referenced it, but it's true for you guys together and true for Tyson. To me, part of the reason that you guys have had some of the opportunities that you've had, that Tyson has so many fans, that you guys have so many fans, is you guys are real. And real doesn't always mean perfect or saying you need to exactly be like me, but you're just being open and honest about who you are. And it's a very brave thing to do, to show the world who you actually are. I think a lot of people are scared to do that. A lot of people are more in their shell. They're scared to show the world a side to themselves that may not always be liked. So I think that people need to understand that that's what you guys are always going to be. If something's a little perceived as edgier, I mean, again, it's going to be who you guys are. And I think this is a totally different category than, you know, like you said, a lot of comments, but some negative comments. When you guys are on the same page about it, it's not like you were, you know, your arm was twisted into this, like you knew what was happening. It was for a magazine, like it was an artistic kind of different take on the sport and on relationships. So yeah, I think you guys are always going to be who you are. And I think that's why you have so many fans.
Right.
Thank you for letting me have my soapbox a little bit. But no, I just, you know what I mean? For all the things that we do for our kids, and our kids are very involved in everything, and we do free kids clinics, and we absolutely love all the young fans, and we did not mean to be offensive whatsoever, but I hope that people can take this conversation and put it into context and just know that we're just trying to be authentic to who we are. And I think our content will continue to reflect that. And when we do misstep or something is wrong, we are always the first to say, like, hey, we're sorry, or, you know, we can be better, or now we're more conscious of it. But my just little PSA is just, before you comment and before you say something, put yourself in that position and really think about every angle to the subject, and make sure that it's really the I guess stance you want to take before you say it.
Yeah, I think just, over the last 9 years, if there's one thing that I've heard from fans that's very refreshing, is that, I've always been super real, right? And whether it's brands, it's fans, added supporters, whatever, right? So I think you've told me this countless times, like anytime you post on Instagram, like you're worried about posting and stuff like that. And I just like film stories all day long about the kids in the diapers.
Yeah, or a messy house, or the laundry on the couch,
Max,
or whatever.
You know, Mac doesn't have any clothes on in the hot tub, and I'm like catching like his backside. But and I think with that has just built me up a little bit and really made me very authentic, just like what you and K-Mac had just mentioned, and has brought in a lot of brand endorsements and stuff like that. And I'm obviously very comfortable with myself and comfortable with you. And K-Mac knows there was this gentleman in the camp this last week, or in Baja. His name is Paul the chiropractor, right?
Paul, he's amazing.
Paul must have kissed me like 30 times, right? Told me he loved me a million times. And if there's one thing he kept saying, he's like, I watch all your content. I love K-Mac. You know, K-Mac's a total stud. He's done so much for you. He watches the educational videos, watches the podcast, gets the newsletter, diehard fan. Showed up day one at Emily's club there in Myrtle Beach, decked out in TM gear, had the Skechers on. Anyhow, so when he came to the camp, he's like, yeah, man, like, I've seen all your content and seen your interviews and stuff like that, and just didn't know if you were going to be real. And just like, the guy was, nicest guy, but just something he kept telling me like day in, day out, multiple times as I'm getting kisses and hugs and all the above, is that like, I'm a real dude. And he just really appreciated that. And
one little thing I'll say is there's been a handful of people throughout your career that have wanted to come in and shape you into something else, right? Thinking like, oh, you'll be more marketable if you do this, and you'll be more marketable if you appear to be this, and have asked you to be unauthentic. And us, our representation, everybody that we've been involved with, and even Kyle knows this, like, we've shut that down hard. Like, one, for two reasons. One, like, how freaking exhausting to to try to pretend to be something all the time. Like, there's just no way. There's no amount of editing. There's no amount of, I mean, we'd be freaking apologizing all the time because we'd be trying to be something that we're not. So that's a big thing. And so I think, know that it's, we're always going to be who we are, but also that, it's just being authentic is the most important thing. But being authentic means that maybe you're not going to be the good guy or the bad guy or the whatever. Like, you're going to be you. And so, take the labels off. My last comment.
Yeah, I love it. Love it.
K-Mac, any last notes for us here? Do you have anything going on for the next week with the fam aside from kicking your kid's butt in Fortnite?
Well, I think they're taking it to me pretty hard.
We need to send Kyle V-Bucks.
Yeah, I got a little a private deal in Phoenix, teaching before the tournament. Looks like I'm going to be in your corner. Excited to support you and help your partnerships in any small way that I can. But just ready for that, and let's crush it. Let's crush it this year.
Love it. Mom, I love you. K-Mac, love you. My name is Tyson McGuffin. This is the McGuffin Show. We'll see you guys next episode.